Rupam tasya grajam uruparim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivanamoho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Guruntam Natosmi. Hey Guru Gyanadadina Bando. What page? Swananda 250. Naika Sindo Sina Hitavatar Radha Pranaya Prachara. He Dina Bando Koranaika Sindo Guru Prasadam Maimanda Mude Laksha Parade Bahupapagade Tatpada Padme Rupadishta Krishna Naivātmanaḥ patitim kavayastavesha Ramayushapi kridam ridam udasmaranta Yontar bahis tanubritam ashubhan vadunvan Acharya chaitya vapusha swagatim vyanakti. So the spiritual practice of bhakti yoga is just like a drink. You can mix different items together. In fact, mixtures are very popular in this world. You find some mixtures in the mode of ignorance, passion, goodness. And then there's transcendental drinks and mixtures that you can also drink. And of course, in offering to the Lord, there's chatusan, which is combination of a guru, sandalwood, musk. There's one more. It's chatu. What? Camphor. If you mix these four things together, you get chatusama, which is an aroma that's so heavenly that your mind is transported into a different realm just by the scent of that. And when I hear some devotees chant japa, because they have so much taste for the holy name, when I get near them, it sounds to me as if they're drinking some intoxicating beverage. And going on pilgrimage to various places, we're mixing together dangerously various substances. We go to the Madan Mohan temple, and although we may not be able to articulate it, at least I can't, the feeling we might get there. Shri Hare Krishna ki jai, Shri Gaunitai ki jai, Sriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Nevertheless, it's a drink, and we take it in from all different places. The Krishna Katha, I have a godbrother, whenever he talks about Krishna Katha, Krishna, the way he pronounces it, it sounds like a drink to me also. And it's something that Parikshit Maharaj noted when he was listening to Shukadev Goswami. When he was fasting, he said, this is remarkable that you're speaking, I'm not even eating, I'm not even sleeping, but because there's nectar falling from your mouth and I'm drinking it, and that kata, it's a drink. He said, I don't feel thirsty and I don't feel hungry. It is deathless nectar. And he also said that whenever we come together for Krishna Katha, there's three types of people who benefit. The speaker gets the most benefit. That's why I hug the microphone. Then the listener and everybody else in between who hears the katha, they get benefited also. In fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told his matasis that every day you should go out and knock on a few doors, at least 3. And he said that even if people don't want to listen to you, they'll think, oh, I saw a spiritual person, and it'll leave an impression in their mind. What to speak of those who deliberately come together to hear Krishna Katha? Is there an ongoing systemic issue? This place, Imlital, is one of those places where you get a nectarian beverage just by coming here. And when we first walk in, you can see Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu sitting, looking out to the Jamuna. If that isn't a nectarian drink, I don't know what is. The combination of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and nobody's better than Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabodhananda Saraswati said, Caitanya-caritāmṛta, said so many avatars have come, you can name millions of incarnations. But as far as he's concerned, everything's canceled after Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The ultimate in Krishna's appearance, Srimati Radharani and Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna in one person, in one personage. There's nothing better than that. You can't get any better than that, he's saying. So when we come here, this is a place where Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu would come every day when he was in Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu had made an attempt to go to Vrindavan the first time, and millions of people were following him. Sanatana Goswami pulled him aside and said, "My Lord, this is not a great idea to go with so many people to Vrindavan." And finally, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here, he just had 2 servants with him, and he stayed at a Kuragat. But every morning, he would come here to Imlital, and he would sit under this tree. The original tree is kind of here, but it has a descendant that grew up. I mean, it was here for hundreds, some people say thousands of years, the Imlital tree. And that's what marks the spot here. And a descendant of that tree has mercifully grown up now, so it's still here. But it's that tree that Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu would come. And for me, there's a very direct and approachable aspect to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu here. Because as I was talking to Radhika Raman Prabhu a couple of years ago, one may have a very lofty philosophical system. One may have an idea about ideas about many things philosophically. But unless you have an approach, a way to approach that philosophy and experience it daily and directly, it's meaningless. So is this microphone. And Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu did something that we can all relate to. He came here and he sat down and he chanted japa. He wanted to, everywhere he was, when he was staying at a Kuradat, thousands of people would come to see him. That was when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came anywhere, the word would spread and people just want to see him. They want to be around him. They would want to get even a glimpse of him. So in order to have solitude, he would steal away from a Kuragat early in the morning while he was staying here in Vrindavan. And he would come to this place and sit under the Imlital tree. And he would chant japa till late in the morning. To me, that's very approachable, because that's something that I could think about doing, is organizing my life so that I could come and sit down and just chant somewhere without any disturbance. Does that sound appealing to you? There's so many disturbances in our lives. Would you like to switch out? You think it'll have a try? Thank you. So Jamuna is there, and the Imlital tree is there, but why did Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu come here? Well, How do I? In the Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, we find the great secret of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Śrī Radhaya pranaya mahima kidrisho vanayaiva swadyo yena bhuta madarima kidrisho vāmaryaha saukyam chasyad mat anubhavata kidrisham deti lobhat tadbhavadya samajani sachi garba sindhu hadindu. This is the most refined, esoteric, beautiful description of God's desires and will that you'll find anywhere in the world. Most conceptions of God are very two-dimensional. God's great, we're small, and that's nice. There is a God and I'm not him. That's another one. Desires. And what are those? If one could find that out and cater to those desires of God, what a life one would have. And that's called the life of devotional service. If we can know what the heart of God is, what does he like particularly, and if somehow or other we could contribute to that, to please him, what would our life be like? Well, according to the logic of the scriptures, which talks about watering the root of a tree, if we figure out that by watering the root of the tree, the whole tree becomes nourished. And we also, as we discussed yesterday, Prahlāda Mahārāja points us to a principle through which we can be fully satisfied, not partially, not temporarily, but fully and eternally satisfied. Naivātmanaḥ prabhur nija-lābha-pūrṇo, mānaṁ janād aviduṣaḥ karuṇo, vṛṇīte, jano, bhagavate, vidadhīta mānaṁ cātmane, prati-mukhasya, yathā, mukha-śrīḥ. And that is that if you satisfy the Lord, or at least you even attempt to satisfy him, if you have an idea in your heart that I would like to please God, and you can find the ways and means to do that, then you'll become satisfied, because we're parts of God. And Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's innermost desire, as we learn from our most esoteric scripture, Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, is that in the spiritual world, Krishna has a conundrum, which is my devotees, in loving me and in seeing me and serving me, enjoy more than I do, because I'm the object of their love. And he has glimpses of this, as mentioned. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami in his teachings. You'll find this in the 22nd chapter of the Madhya-lila, that sometimes Krishna himself, he'll either see a painting of himself or a reflection of himself. Someone's like, wait a minute, who is that? And he'll want to enjoy that picture. He's like, but that's me. How do I enjoy it? And then you'll notice that his devotees, and most particularly Srimati Radharani, is free to enter within the beauty of Krishna, the greatness of Krishna. And he wants to know, it develops in his heart that he wants to know, Śrī Radhaya pranaya mahima kidrisho vanam. What's the greatness of Srimati Radharani's love? And what is the happiness that she feels? And Kaviraj Goswami says, well, she enjoys 10 million times more than Krishna. And that's just not right, because Krishna's the supreme enjoyer. He says, Bhuktaram yagatapasam, I'm the supreme enjoyer. So he comes up with a way in which he'll come to the world on a scheduled bus that stops by anyway on a regular basis to spread the Yuga Dharma, so that I'll get on that bus. And I'll come during the time that the Yuga Dharma is meant to be spread and the Yuga Avatar comes, but I'm going to come. And I'm going to come there specifically in a unique form of myself, but I'm going to in some senses have been expressed by acharyas, steal Srimati Radharani's mood. And so I'll come in this form, I'll be Krishna, but I'm going to enjoy what Srimati Radharani enjoys. And that's the verse. Sri Radhaya pranaya mahima kidrisho harayaiva swadyo yena puta madharima kidrisho varamariyaha saukyam chasya mad anubhavata kidrisham veti loba tat bhavatya samajani shachigapa sindhu harindu. That's there in the Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta for all the world to see, amazingly. And why is that important here at Imlital? Well, there's spiritual history here that is mentioned in various shastras that say that during certain pastimes of Radha and Krishna, there's meeting and separation, and both bring the pinnacle of enjoyment to the divine couple and to the devotees who are participating in their pastimes. And so sometimes they meet, sometimes they're separated. And in a mood of separation here, which we just explored to some small degree in Jagannath Puri, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feelings of separation. From Srimati Radharani, there is a way in which at Imlital, Krishna comes in separation from Srimati Radharani, and the separation is so intense, say the Shastra, that he's calling out her name, meditating on her, and his countenance changes from black, Krishna's black, right, to golden, a harbinger of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is parallel with the verse that we just quoted, that it's the desire of God to experience what his greatest devotee has experienced. He wants to taste that. And that pastime, there's a semblance of that takes place here at Imlital. So the fact that the highly esoteric meets the completely practical here is what appeals to me. Because what's completely esoteric, in fact, I'm afraid to even say some of these things, especially in front of Vishnu Prabhu, talk about separation and pastimes and this and that. Not that I know much about them, but just some indication. He came here for these purposes, but then he also came here to chant japa, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. I love that it comes together in such a practical way that he's a devotee, and he walks over here from Akrura Ghat, and he sits down under the tree, and then he just chants Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I mean, I think maybe I could do that someday. I could go sit down and just chant Hare Krishna and listen to the sound vibration. And that's the approachable part. Yes, it's so esoteric that our acharyas, like we discussed the other day, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, wait, hold on, keep that way up there. You stay here, down here, boy. Just be careful. And worship it way high up. But down here, what do I do? Well, something that's so utterly esoteric at the same time, but it's all waiting to come out according to our receptivity. If we are trinadapi sinichena, we become humble, we actually really go out of our way to avoid making any offenses in our lives to any living being. And we're really careful about understanding what we're doing, and we're reverent. We don't fool around. No more fooling around. Then we're careful. Then actually, somehow, through the power of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, we have access to these ideas that are in the Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta through the chanting of Hare Krishna. It's completely approachable, isn't it? Or the Lord's completely approachable through his names. So Prabhupada brought us all here to Vrindavan. Practically brought the whole world to Vrindavan. When we first came here, you couldn't catch a rickshaw back to... No one would drive us. Besides, all they had was bicycle rickshaws back in those days. But the Krishna Balaram Mandir was considered to be Timbuktu. And if there was a way in which you wanted to go from Lloyd Bazaar or from down here at the Jamuna back up there, no, we don't want to drive you, it's too far, they wouldn't catch a ride back in any case. But now, everywhere, people are packing in here. Srila Prabhupada made this world campaign to bring what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experienced here at Imlital. He had a marathon to print the Caitanya-caritāmṛta and make sure that it went out. And then when they asked him how many copies, it was in the millions. In fact, it set world records. The amount of literature Prabhupada printed, it still set world records. There were trains so full of paper and books, transporting his books by trainload, that still it hasn't been equaled in any other book. Even the Bhakti-Gādin magazine was being distributed in the millions, sometimes per month, millions. So this is the oceanic desire of pure devotee, is to imbibe what the previous acharyas have said, to humbly approach it and try to respect it. But then to become so enlivened by it that because it's so compelling, to try to codify it in such a way that everybody in the world can take advantage of it. All these things, it's a confluence, it's all going on at one time. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, the beauty of the Hare Krishna movement is, it's the most aesthetically perfect, and the philosophy is so high-minded, but it's available through a Hare Krishna festival. It's available through going on a street corner and chanting Hare Krishna. Yadabaso Pyutyan Kavalita Bhava Dvanta Vibhavo Drishnam Tatvandanam Apitishiti Pranayinim. If somebody just hears the Hare Krishna mantra from those whose intention is to follow the previous acharyas, and there it's on a street corner somewhere, they're going to get hit by that nectar, and something's going to happen in their mind and their heart, and they're going to change. So the idea Prabhupada had was to bring us all here, and he hoped that we would get some of that. And once you get it, it's hard to get out of your system. If we come to Imlital and you just see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sitting there looking at the Jamuna, and then you just get a little dust from this place, and you feel, uh-oh, this is nice. It's nicer than anything else. It's that drink. And then if you can get that drink, then you want to make lots of it, like Vishnu Ganaprabhu does. He's famous for cooking quantity, huge quantities, and distributing it to people all over the world. So here at Imlital, we can remember this place, the confluence of everything that we have. It's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going deeply within his internal purpose for coming here, and it's the accessible path that's given to us by our acharyas and by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Just sit down. Don't worry about anything. Just sit down and chant Hare Krishna. Everything's going to be all right. And you'll discover the mysteries of the spiritual world just through this one mantra, if you just still the mind a little bit and stay there for a while. And now I'd like to ask my dear godbrother Vishnu Ganaprabhu to give us some of his heartfelt nectar. Hare Krishna.
That was so great. That was really wonderful. I hesitate to speak because it was so good. I'll try to follow. Agati ega katim natva hunatare kashadakam Śrī Caitanya likitesa prema bhakti vedanyata. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that for those of us who have no goal, Lord Chaitanya is the only goal. Is the only, because he's giving prema bhakti, love of God. From the early days of the Hare Krishna movement, when Srila Prabhupada came back from, he had a stroke in 1967, and then came to India to recuperate. Right from the beginning, he wanted to have an American house in Vrindavan. And what was that for? Huh? Yeah, for the devotees, for the disciples to come and get purified here and learn Krishna consciousness here. We know Lord Chaitanya, his first 24 years he was there in Mayapur, Navadvip, and then as soon as he took sannyas, where do you want to go? Vrindavan, yeah. And he got a little misdirected, kind of, sort of, and then he made a second attempt, but finally, after he went to South India and did a good deal of preaching for, all throughout South India, then he made it through Jharkhand forest to come to Vrindavan. So he was paving the way for future generations and paving the way for Srila Prabhupada and his disciples to come here. For their upliftment, for our upliftment and purification. Yasyatma buddhi kunapet vidhatuke. You know the verse, right? Svadhi kalatradishu bhauma ijadi yatirtha buddhe salilena karhachit janyesha abhigeshu saeva gokara. And not just to visit the places, but to hear from the saintly persons who are speaking there, that goes right to the heart. Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya would be so pleased about what you're doing. Thank you.
I'm sorry to make an expedited schedule, but we could walk to Radha Damodar in 5 minutes from here. Yes? She needs to make an announcement. Well, I don't know if I'm going to help or hurt this, but I would like to leave now and go to Radha Damodar because I'd like to go to Radha Damodar with you. I have a meeting I'm supposed to be at 10 o'clock. It's 10 minutes to 10. I'm going to be late for my meeting. But I would like to go to Radha Damodar and be there and at least circumambulate the temple. Krishna Mahaprabhu can do what we usually do if it's available, the hallway, to sit and sing the Shat Goswami Ashtakam, and he can speak there. I'm going to have to vamonos after we get there. I'll have to cello out of there. But that's what my thought was. But I'd like to hear what Shraddha Devi Dasi has to say about that idea.
So we'll have to use the headset. Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. How is it so far? Okay, very good. Quick announcement. It's a 2-minute walk to Radha Damodar. And Janeshwar Prabhu is going to be in the lead. The Kirtan team, if you can follow and be behind, because rest of us are all going to follow the Kirtan team. Walk all the way there to Radha Damodar. We'll finish the katha there. We'll walk back and come here to Imlital. From here, the totos are going to take us to Anand Krishna 1. Okay, that's the plan. Suryakund Prabhu will be at the rear end of the procession. Thank you so much. Stay together, everybody.
People, sit down, sit down. I'm not sure if we have a chance to buy the message.
Just like to end with a prayer. Dear Srila Prabhupada, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, if you so desire, please give us the appreciating capacity
Let's put this mic.
to taste the nectar of participating in your Sankirtan movement by hearing chanting and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna. Vanshakālpatarusha kripasindheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Nanta Koti Vaishnaveni ki jai. More kirtan.